Hey guys, it's that time yet again for another weekly wrap-up. This seems to work for me right now because with my school schedule and work schedule, I really don't have much time to film any other videos but the weekly wrap-up. So, I really want you guys to... I want to share my love of comics with you guys. I want to expose you guys to some potentially cool stories and some cool books. I will probably in the future, I'm going to do another unboxing. It's going to kind of have a little theme to it. And I'm probably going to do a Friday read sometime in the future too. So if you're watching me not for the comics, please stay tuned for that stuff because it will happen someday. Well, anyways, this is The Wake by Scott Snyder. If you're not familiar with who Scott Snyder is, he's the guy who wrote American Vampire. Pretty good series if you have not checked it out. It's about a different kind of vampire. These ones can go out in the sun and all of that, but they're not pussies like Twilight, so don't get the wrong idea there. Well, anyways, this is kind of a little trendy, I guess. I've been seeing a few people been wanting to read this. My first exposure to knowing the existence of this book was a Goodreads giveaway, and I noticed it was a Vertigo book, and the cover looks really interesting, and I was intrigued by the title, The Wake. What could it possibly be about? I had no clue what this book was about until I picked it up. Yeah, that's kind of sad, but I love Vertigo, and I love reading comic books, so I was down for it. Anyways, what The Wake is about, and it has to do with the ocean. That's why it's called The Wake, and it is science fiction. It takes place in the future. It has different periods of future time. It takes place, I don't know. It's hard to explain how far into the future it is because it's a different United States and it's a whole different world. But there's this signal that is heard deep in the ocean. They think it sounds like a whale call, but it sounds like it's intelligent and it's communicating with somebody. So they're really interested to find out what exactly is going on in the ocean. They go deep sea diving with these submarines, and they have this rig out in the middle of the ocean, and they discover what are these mermen. I'm not going to call them mermaids, and I don't want to say anything more than just that. Because if I tell you guys anything more about the mermen, it's going to spoil the whole story for you. But let that be enough just for you that it is awesome. This is a fucking awesome book. Yeah, it takes place in the future, and it involves mermen. But the ending is such a plot twist. I never saw it coming. The artwork is really good. I really like the artwork. Sean Murphy is the other guy who worked on this. I'm not sure, but I think he may have worked on American Vampire with Scott Snyder. Sometimes these guys work together as a team when they make books, but it's it's got pirates, it's got, outer space things, flying boats, the ocean. Did I mention it's got mermen? Yeah, so, this was a really good story. I was really intrigued by it. I don't think that this is a book that's going to be for everyone. So if you're one of those people who just wants to read something just because it's trendy, it might disappoint you. Because I've noticed that some people that read trendy stuff didn't really think too highly of this. If you really like that film Waterworld that starred Kevin Costner, you might really like this. It has to do with the water world, per se. So yeah, I thought it was a really good story. I really enjoy those apocalyptic type future movies. So if you're into that type of science fiction, I really think that you'll enjoy this. If I didn't mention it already, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Definitely. If you're into apocalyptic science fiction, definitely check this one out. Next up we have Original Sin. This was 2014's Marvel Summer Event. It was kind of hyped up, and I really wanted to read this because they made it sound like it was going to be so good. It sounded so intriguing. As you can tell by the cover, who shot the Watcher? The Watcher is dead. If you do not know who the Watcher is, Uatu is this guy who lives on the moon, and he sees everything, like alternate timelines, whatever's going on in the Marvel Universe or other parts of the Marvel Universe, such as alternate dimensions. He knows what's going on. Well, anyways, he gets killed, and it's your basic whodunit, but I have to say the whodunit is kind of lame in this. They lead you on for a little bit. They gather a number of heroes who seem to think they know what's going on. And then once they finally find out who did it, they kind of twist it and they make it seem like, no, it wasn't that guy who did it, it was somebody else. So, because of that and the fact that the very ending of this book has a lot of what I call filler, it's just nothing really to do with the story. It's just kind of like lightly touches on an event that happened in the story, and they kind of expand on it, which I thought was really lame and it was in poor taste. So, the artwork is nice, but this just wasn't what I expected out of a summer event from Marvel Comics. And the replacement for the Watcher I thought was okay, but still, it was not what I was expecting. I'm not going to tell you anymore because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but yeah, I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It is okay. Like I said, it was not the best story that I thought it could be. It is what it is. Next up we have Saga Volume 3, written by Brian K. Vaughan. If you have not heard of Saga, you must be living in a cave or under a rock, because this is one of the top trending comics right now that is produced by Image, and it is a space opera. Very much it's a space opera because there are these two people from two different races, two different civilizations that are warring against each other, and they have fallen in love. Usually these books can be very, very graphic, but Volume 3 is much more tame than the previous 2 volumes. So I can feel comfortable in the fact of showing you some of this content without worrying about showing you something that will scar you for life if you're not into that kind of stuff. There is nudity, so it is not suitable for children. I don't anticipate that children are watching my channel, so yeah. Basically, the story picks up from where Volume 2 left off, and they explore a little more about their relationship, what's going on, who's trying to track them down. It's a very entertaining read. Being that it is a space opera, yeah, I was thinking this is something I really couldn't get into, but Brian K. Vaughan does a very good job with the dialogue, and I think that's what makes this such a winning book, is just the dialogue itself. It does contain strong language, so if you're offended by certain vulgar terms or words, I wouldn't recommend this for you. I'm only saying that because I know there are people who tend to want to read trendy books, and just because something's trendy doesn't mean you need to read it, because possibly you may be offended. But yes, I think this series is still going in a great direction. It's one that I definitely will continue reading. I will pick up Volume 4. And this one I rated 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you're into space operas and if you don't mind vulgar dialogue, then check out Saga. It's pretty good. Next up, I picked up Wolverine 3 Months to Die, Book 2. This is a continuation of the last one. If you look at I think it was either a week or two, a wrap-up, I featured Book 1. Well, anyways, Wolverine is exploring his options. He's still trying to figure out who he is with this new Wolverine. He doesn't have his healing ability. He's kind of scared of death, but he goes on a mission to this island and meets with Death. Death's on holiday, so people are not allowed to die on this island while she's there. He kind of figures out what he's going to do against Sabretooth. And this is like a good portion of the book. I'd say about half this book has to do with that. The other half are just filler stories. I hate when they add filler stories because it really just kind of junks up a book. And really, they're always disinteresting and there's nothing to do with the story. So, but yeah, anyways, this is an okay read. It's not something I'd say you have to. It's not a must read. But it is an okay read, and I rated this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Secret Avengers, How to Maim a Mockingbird. This is volume 3. I really didn't realize that I had picked up another Secret Avengers book. This one was relatively thin, but yet again, this one was a little different than the other Secret Avengers book. This one was just one mission that was expanded over a couple of issues, so it made a little more sense than the other Secret Avengers that I had read. But yeah, the story was not that impressive. It had to do with the AIM organization and how they were trying to cut a deal, and for some reason Mockingbird they were trying to assassinate Mockingbird. So it was kind of, I don't really know what's going on, if there was something more to this that I could have read about in a different volume of an Avengers storyline, or if it was a previous volume to the Secret Avengers. I really didn't know what was going on. I thought the artwork was okay, the story was just okay, being that I really didn't know what was going on, and it had MODOK in it, and it was just okay, so I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm so far, being the second volume of Secret Avengers that I've read, I'm not really impressed with this series. Like I said before, X-Force was a much better kind of secret agent storyline, so I just really not feeling this. Next up we have X-Men Battle of the Atom. If you're not up with the current events, the original X-Men have been transported to the present day, and nobody really thought that it would have repercussions until this volume. Someone from the future, a group claiming that they are the future X-Men, immediately come to these original X-Men and the X-Men team that are, trying to teach them, and tell them that there are repercussions of them being in the future timeline, and they're warning them that they need to go back before something, bad is going to happen. So, of course, this has one of the things I really like about certain stories. It has an alternate kind of timeline. It has different variations of current characters and kind of mashups of current characters. So there are new characters, and the reveal towards the end was really kind of exciting. I really liked that. And this was a great story, one that kept you in suspense. It was kind of a long story. It didn't feel like it was like taking too long or that it was drawn out, but it was one that kept you in suspense the whole time. I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. I really thought this was a good story. If you're really into X-Men, if you're into what if type stories, I think that you will really enjoy this one too. And it was great that there wasn't any filler, because sometimes they take these books and they just add a lot of filler junk, but they didn't. So I appreciate that. It was a good book. If you like the X-Men, and I really like the X-Men, so this one wasn't a 5-star, but it was a good 4-star book. Okay, and the final book for my weekly wrap-up is Demon Knights: The Gathering Storm. This is volume 3, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think the DC canceled this New 52 series. So I don't know if there is a volume 4 or if there will be one. I'll have to look into that. But I do have to say that this was a series that I really enjoyed. I had never read anything with Etrigan the Demon in it before. If you're into fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, you might really enjoy this series. I think the artwork was pretty phenomenal, and they kind of changed up the artist towards the end of this volume. So it kind of looks like great art. The dialogue is great. The story was great. Until you got to the end, and it just started to get stale. They changed the writer, and it seems like a never-ending story that's just starting to lose its momentum, and it's just, I don't know. Well, anyways, I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's starting to lose its appeal, I guess. I mean, the first 2 volumes were really good to this series, and I wonder if that's why it got canceled. And it also has a tie-in with kind of a tie-in with Wonder Woman. So yeah, that's what I thought of that. Questions, comments, as always, down below. If you have any recommendations for me, let me know down below. If you've read any of these, what did you think of them? Thanks for watching, and until next time, later guys.